Hey everybody, my name is James Tsai. I'm the CIO for Bunker Labs, and I'm also a veteran entrepreneur. Served in the Navy and the Marine Corps. Made the switch to the Marine Corps after the Navy time. I would like you to welcome you to the Bunker Labs All In series. Our goal here is to elevate and highlight Bunker Labs companies. And the entrepreneur we're talking about today is a award-winning blogger, vlogger, social media influencer, and a military spouse, Tiffany Haywood. She has a company called TheMrsTee. So let's kick this off. She lives with her family and spouse in Fayetteville, North Carolina. There are 8 of them. So Tiffany, you want to introduce yourself and give us a little bit of background about your company?
Hi, James. Well, first of all, I want to say thank you guys for inviting me to be part of this. I'm super excited. As you stated, I am a lifestyle blogger. That's how I got my start here in social media land and entrepreneurship. I'm also a brand and blog consultant, and my company's name is TheMrsTee LLC. I do have 6 kids. It's crazy, but I do. So that means there are 8 of us total, but right now there's only 6 in the house because 2 are actually in New York for school. And yeah, I've been living this crazy male spouse life for about 12 years because my husband recently retired maybe 2 to 3 years ago. So that's a little bit about me.
Cool. So before we kind of get in deep into the company, there's a lot happening, obviously, unless you're sort of living under a rock. Tell us how you're doing. How's Team Haywood? How are you feeling? You guys navigating this thing okay?
We're doing pretty good. The kids are home, so that's one thing. I'm actually working from home right now. On top of my 2 businesses, I'm actually also a business consultant for a women's business center here in Fayetteville. So we have transitioned over to complete remote working. So basically between 8 and 5, I'm working from home, and then I kind of do my stuff after or before that. But the transition hasn't been too hard. The only thing that I'm struggling with is, even though I worked from home prior to this, like as TheMrsTee, having the kids when I have a set schedule, like the 8 to 5 for a real 8 to 5 job, is a little difficult because they are like, Mom, but you're home. Why can't we go play? So it's kind of like trying to explain to them, like, I'm home, but yet I'm not home. Like, I'm still working. So that's just been a little bit of a struggle for us. But we're finding our groove and getting into the hang of things.
Yeah, no, and actually, I kind of appreciate seeing the kids, pets, and stuff like that on these video conference calls because this is real life, right?
Yeah, well, I locked them out, so you're not going to see them.
That's awesome. So one thing that we like to really talk about, I think every entrepreneur goes on their own journey, but every one of us has some mistakes that we've made, things that we've done well. So we want to talk about things that you would advise other entrepreneurs in your same position to start doing, stop doing, and then continue doing. So let's start with what do you advise entrepreneurs start doing immediately in order to sort of progress it and grow their companies?
To start doing it immediately, I would say any business owner, whatever field of business you're in, I would suggest for you to be yourself, to start telling your story, sharing your story, and that portion of who you are. Because I've always told my clients, a person will buy into a person before they even look at a product. So if you can get your part of who you are and why you do what you do out there ahead of the product, then your product should come second nature. So that's what I would tell anyone to start doing. Get your story out there. Be willing to be the face of your brand. Be willing to share a piece of who you are, and that will connect you to whoever your audience and clients are, and then you'll have somewhere to start from there.
Yeah, that's great. So on the stop doing, I'm sure we all have a lot of things. There are a ton of things I keep telling myself to stop doing, like saying yes to everything that people ask me for, and I still have not found a way to stop. But what's your advice on things that you should stop doing immediately if you want to sort of progress the company?
Okay, so to stop, I say stop comparing yourself to everybody else. Even though none of us are reinventing the wheel, and most of us, whatever product or service we're offering as a business is not new under the sun, you still don't want to compare yourself to the next person. Because going back to what I said to start doing, it's you that makes you stand out from what everybody else is doing. So if you compare yourself to Joe Smith, who happens to be in the same field as you, you don't have that authenticity anymore. You don't have that piece of you in it anymore. So I always tell clients and anyone in business and anyone talking to me say at the Women's Business Center, who's going into business, make sure you don't compare yourself to everybody else. You want to stand out, you want to be who you are, but don't try to put yourself at their standards, because we all grow at different paces, we all achieve at different levels, and we all have different things that make us unique. And use that unique and make that your thing and not what the next person is doing.
Yeah, and that seems easy to say, but probably pretty hard to execute. So how do you translate that message to your clients in an environment where we're surrounded by comparison? Who has the most likes, the most followers, retweets, engagement?
Well, for me, because we do deal a lot on social media, that's pretty much what I focus on when I'm dealing with my clients. I do tell them, although we have that mindset, like likes and double taps and hearts and stuff, that's what matters. But in all reality, even on the technical side of it, and when you're looking at the algorithms for Facebook and Instagram, it's really the engagement that matters. And when you stop trying to count the likes and stop trying to find out how many people are following you and start instead looking at how many people are actually engaged with what you're sharing, that's what matters. And what you're sharing ties back into being who you are. And you can't copy the next person and think that you're going to get the same engagement they do, because they're sharing who they are. You can't share who they are. So instead, focus on you, focus on what it is you're doing, focus in on what you have to offer and why you're in this business in the first place, and make that your starting point. And then that comparison will kind of fall back. And even when I do have clients who get stuck in the comparison, or, oh my goodness, that's my competition and they just got 15 likes yesterday and I only got 2, I tell them, instead of looking at it as competition, start changing your mindset and see it as motivation. So instead of that person being your competition, have them help you motivate yourself to push harder on what it is you're doing. So it's all about switching your mindset just a little bit of a pivot, and you can change the outcome completely.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, I mean, the world is completely different today than it was 2 weeks ago, and there are probably very few things that you want to keep doing that you don't need to change a little bit. But what are those few sort of key skills and sort of traits that you want to continue doing within your business, or that you'd advise people to continue doing?
Continue reaching out to your clients, continue being present, because that's something you can do in today's world of social media. You don't have to be less than 6 feet away. You can close that distance and close that gap simply by being engaged with them. And for my clients, my biggest tips are, if someone leaves a comment, answer. If someone asks you a question, answer. So social media is just what it sounds like. It's all about being social. And so since most of my clients, the platforms that they're working on, especially now with the social distancing, is online and via social media, make sure you're actually social. Give them a chance to see who you are. This is the perfect opportunity to share that story. And then when we get past this point and past where we are right now, they'll know a little bit more about you, and you may even gain a few more people.
Yeah, that's great. So a little bit off the sort of the standard script here, but everybody that you talk to believes themselves to be a social media experts. They understand the content, they know how to sell themselves, and it's sort of a hard lesson, I think, for people to learn. So can you talk a little bit about why somebody would need a social media consultant versus trying to sort of go on this path on their own?
Honestly, I don't even market myself as a social media consultant. I'm more of a branding consultant, because I try to teach people how to do it themselves. I don't want to manage your social media, because I honestly think your social media works better when it's a piece of you. But I try to teach people how to add that piece of them into the social media, because a lot of people do think, hey, it's social media, I can do this on my own. I just need some really cool graphics and some outrageous looking memes and some cool quotes to post like every Tuesday or on Quote Tuesday or whatever. But that's when it starts becoming generic. And that's when you start losing that story aspect and that authenticity aspect that you want to have in there. So that's the part that I try to teach my clients, that, hey, you might need a little bit of an outside perspective just to let you know that you don't want to look like everybody else, because anybody can Google a Monday motivation quote. Anybody can Google a cool meme for Tuesdays, but can anybody give the insight you have based on your life experience? Not most of the time. So that's what I try to teach them how to do. And sometimes it does take that outside person to see that and to point that out to them. But for me, the biggest win for me in my business is when I see my clients catch on, and when I can see them walk away and do it on their own.
Yeah, that's great. So what's the biggest win you've had with a client, or maybe rephrase differently. What's the biggest hot mess that you've seen that you've been able to sort of turn around?
Oh my gosh. I don't want to call anybody out. I had a client, so I also do what I call a first look impression for websites and people who have blogs or businesses online, because a lot of us, we either hire a website designer or we do it ourselves, DIY design it, but we never actually look at it as a visitor. We always see it from the back end. So I do what I call a first look impression, where I actually visit your site and from top to bottom, I tell you what's good and what maybe isn't so good. So the biggest hot mess I had was when someone sent me the link to their site and they hired me to do the first look. And this was maybe 6 months ago. And it looked like a MySpace page. Like, I clicked on it and there were scrolling graphics and music popping out from the side. And the background was black and the font was like pink. And I was just like, oh my gosh. So I had to like step back, and of course I had my audit list and I'm writing like, looks like MySpace page. Oh my gosh, too many graphics, too much sound, like turn stuff off. But then that's when you have to like, that's my first impression. But then I had to compact that into a way where I wouldn't offend them when I talk to them. So I ended up saying point blank, like, hey, do you remember MySpace? And they were like, yeah. I was like, well, you don't want to see like MySpace nowadays. And they were like, oh, really? And so it ended up working out. But I think that was about the biggest hot mess I've had recently, because it just screamed MySpace all over the place.
Yeah, that's not good. I love MySpace. I miss it. So there are a lot of tools and resources available right now that you can talk into. And you can kind of get lost in the mix. Can you talk about your favorite resources that help you in your role, and the ones that you would recommend that individuals in similar industries sort of adopt?
Sure. So some of the biggest things I use in what I do, Canva is one of my favorites for graphics and quick designs, because you can literally get dimensions for every and any platform that you want to use them on. One of my biggest pet peeves is when I see people using the wrong dimension on the wrong platform. So for example, if we're recording a video and you want to post it on Facebook, you should go horizontal, not vertical, because when you go vertical, you get those two black spaces on the side. And on the flip side, when you're doing an Insta story, you want to go vertical and not horizontal. So Canva allows you to adjust all those dimensions according to what that platform's rules are. So you never have to worry about how it's going to look or what that first impression is going to be. Another one of my favorite tools is an app called KindMaster. I'm also, as a lifestyle blogger, I do a lot of media and event coverage, which means I do a lot of vlogging, like you mentioned, which is basically a video blog. And for me, one of the things that I'm known for is how quick I get my stuff published and posted. And so for me to do that on the go, I use an app called KindMaster. So I kind of live by that. I'm not giving away too much of a trade secret, because I actually use that in combination with a bunch of other apps. So I always just tell like the one, because you never want anybody to try to go imitate you too much. Even though it's flattery, you kind of still want to be who you are. But KindMaster is one app that I definitely recommend. So I think those would be my top 2 recommendations. Everybody should learn how to use Canva. Even the free version is amazing. You get stock images, you can use video clips for it, and you can pretty much use it across your social media presence, even on your websites. And then the other one, if you are a vlogger or a blogger and you need to create content on the go, I would definitely recommend KindMaster.
Yeah, those are fantastic. I actually have not heard of that one, although I've used it and have heard of Canva.
Yeah,
so
Canva is awesome.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's amazing. It's a little too easy to use.
No, it's not. You'd be surprised. I teach an entire workshop, a 3-part workshop on Canva. So you'd be surprised. There's some tricks in there.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, well, we'll kind of post that too. So maybe the last most important question is, what do you need? What do you need from the bunker community? What can we do to help you continue to grow and succeed in your entrepreneurial pursuits?
I think support like this is really, really key to any entrepreneur. Getting that extra exposure, allowing me to have your space to express what it is I do and why I do it, and to share what my passion is. For that, I'm forever grateful. And I think that's just a little bit of something that we all need more of, because we have so many people out there who are entrepreneurs, but they kind of want to keep all the trade secrets to themselves. Even like I just mentioned with that one app, you have a tendency to try to hide a little bit just to keep your uniqueness. But at the same time, for someone to be willing to open those doors for you is so, so essential to anyone's success. So I would definitely appreciate more of that. And for all of you watching from Bunker Labs, if you could just visit my website, visit my page. If you see something you like, if you see something that resonates with you or that you think could help someone you know, share it. We all know there are so many different ways to help support an entrepreneur that don't even cost you a thing. A share, a like, a follow, a recommendation, or even just offering their name out to the next person. So those are the type of things that I always am appreciative for. I always say thank you for, and I'm always welcome to.
That's great. Thank you so much, Tiffany. And thanks for joining us, everybody. Tiffany, have an awesome day and much luck in your future.
Thank you so much, James. It was nice meeting you.
You too. Bye.